Hey, Kentucky, this is Mary Jo Perino. Tonight, reactions to an image of Governor Beshear hung in effigy. Barbershops and salons reopen, and future Wildcats are ready to get on campus. All that and more is next on Hey, Kentucky. Welcome to Hey, Kentucky with LEX 18 Sports Director Keith Farmer. A huge weekend for both of us. First of all, you have a daughter now.
Yeah, I have 3 sons, and over the weekend, one of them getting married, only 10 people in attendance or less, so don't worry about it. And it was a special time that, like you said, I've had 3 sons, now I have a daughter-in-law.
That's awesome. Congratulations to the Farmer family. And I got my hair done finally. Shout out Michelle Watts and Privé. Thank you for making me feel pretty again. All right, Keith, this is a tough story to start out with, but an effigy of Governor Andy Beshear was hung outside of the governor's mansion during weekend protests. And we want you to know that some might find this footage disturbing. A rally for Second Amendment rights apparently turned into a protest of the governor's COVID-19 restrictions. Several lawmakers have come out condemning the behavior. Jerry James Sevo is a freelance photographer and happened to witness the scene on Sunday. He says it brought up painful images of a dark past as folks gather around it laughing and taking pictures.
Immediately when I saw that go up, as an African American, there's like these intergenerational trauma triggers, and you think about lynching and the images of folks, gathered around in town getting, as someone's getting lynched as entertainment. And so that image peeked in my head when I saw that.
Yesterday, a group of counter-protesters showed up outside the governor's mansion in support of Andy Beshear. The dozen or so people say they wanted to share with the governor that the message, love conquers hate. State Attorney General Daniel Cameron called the hanging in effigy sickening on Twitter. Democratic State Representative Kelly Flood says the person responsible should be charged.
I do think it's a moment to see how far we can, within the law, go. I then know a lot of things have to come into play on this moment. But I assure you that what that person was reaching for needs to be challenged to the full extent of the law.
Others, like Republican Representative Kim King, say the message of the Sunday rally that stay-at-home orders are unconstitutional has been hijacked by the actions of one person. Keith, there's nothing good I can say about this. Just an awful scene. His kids play in that front yard.
Sickening. And, even Mitch McConnell came out and said that this was just not needed in Kentucky. This is an ugly thing. You can do peaceful protesting. This was not peaceful. And, it's one of those things that you hope they can find this guy. It happened in Kentucky. I hope the guy wasn't a Kentuckian, that they can find him and they can bring some kind of charges against him, for sure.
Well, just go on social media. We know who he is. But no legal action has been taken at this point. Finally, we can get haircuts again as more and more businesses reopen. Finally, barbers and salons as well as tattoo parlors are now open. Over at Lexington's Lux Hair Bar, customers were getting some help for hair that hadn't been touched in more than 70 days. The salon is taking precautions such as working in masks, checking temperatures, and asking clients to wait in their cars until their appointment time. Another thing they aren't using is hair dryers to keep them from spreading germs throughout the air.
We just want to make sure that we do everything in our power to make sure that our team and our guests are safe for the time being. Well, always, but especially during this time.
Lots of great spacing between clients. I feel really comfortable.
And Keith, when I had my hair done today, both my stylist Michelle and I had on masks. It was just fine, but it did feel a little bit like a slice of normalcy was back in our lives.
I was curious about the mask. So she's able to get around the ears okay without getting the mask?
Yep, I wore my mask the entire time. It was no problem.
Very cool. I love this. It's we're no longer going to look like shaggy 1970s characters anymore. So it's good. But I don't have an excuse now. Now I've got to get it cut.
Exactly. All right. Kentucky's senior Senator Mitch McConnell was in Lexington today at UK Hospital to express his gratitude for all state frontline healthcare workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. He spoke about the C.A.R.E.S Act, the largest relief bill in history, and said that to date it has provided more than $11 billion in relief to the Commonwealth. The senator also spoke about the possibility of another coronavirus relief package, saying it should be, quote, very carefully targeted to correct the mistakes that we certainly made in passing a multi-trillion-dollar bill in 1 week, end quote. He also encouraged people to wear masks.
I want to encourage everybody in Kentucky, now that things are beginning to go up, open up, to be brave enough to go out, be smart enough to go out safely by wearing a mask and practicing social distancing. And if you're in a certain age group and have certain pre-existing conditions, maybe you ought not to be going out already.
Keith, I think that's good advice from Mitch McConnell.
And good to hear from some of our leaders like that. We need more leaders, more people that are out there that people look up to be able to bring that up and to follow their advice.
Yeah. All right, let's turn to sports now. And former Kentucky, Arkansas, and Oklahoma State basketball coach Eddie Sutton has died. Sutton is one of just 15 coaches in the NCAA to take 2 different teams to the Final Four. After 11 years with the Razorbacks that included a Final Four trip in 1978 and 4 years at Kentucky that ended in a recruiting scandal, he returned to Oklahoma State, where he coached for 16 seasons. He took the Cowboys to 13 NCAA tournaments and 2 Final Fours, finishing as the second winningest coach in Oklahoma State history.
The one great thing, about a truly great leader is whatever philosophy or style of play that they may have, whatever the personality of that coach is going to reflect on the team and the players that are playing on that team. And I think Eddie Sutton is a guy to me that really reflects of what a true coach is all about. He's a guy that when you walked out on the court, you wanted to play hard for him.
Sutton will be posthumously inducted into the Hall of Fame this August, along with NBA legend Kobe Bryant. Sutton was 84 years old, and we all knew Kobe was going into the Hall of Fame. His life cut way too short. I wish Eddie Sutton had been able to see himself get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's tough. And I know, some former players spoke out about how we need to see these guys go in a little sooner than this and being posthumously put into a Hall of Fame. They need to go in while they're with us.
Absolutely. All right. Coach Cal's trying to help his outgoing players through the most unusual transition to pro basketball. 5 former Cats, Tyrese Maxey, Ashton Hagans, Emmanuel Quickley, Nick Richards, and E.J. Montgomery have all declared for next month's NBA draft. But of course, the pandemic has forced the league to push back the schedule of activities leading up to it, including the draft combine and the NBA lottery. Cal is concerned about players getting their workouts in for pro scouts. And Keith, for a couple of guys, it won't matter as much, but for E.J. Montgomery, Nick Richards, it's really critical that he didn't, especially for E.J., that he didn't get to be face-to-face with any of these people.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about this when they made their decisions to go pro. We saw this coming and that it was going to be a difficult time to be able to get in front of these scouts and GMs. And so it may be your tape is what you are, and you've shown all that you can show to them.
Yep. Tyrese Maxey and Ashton Hagans are definitely getting workouts in, though, if their Instagram accounts are any indication. And now on Hey Kentucky, in case you missed it, a review of recent headlines. Kentucky FOP President Burl Perdue is blaming Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher for a reported increase in violence and threats. Perdue made the statement on Facebook in which he said the actual facts of the shooting death of Breonna Taylor paint a much different picture than what has been portrayed in the national media. The state's budget outlook continues to be affected by COVID-19. Governor Beshear says the economic impact will mean deep budget cuts. He also said there will be discussions with legislators about a short, targeted special session concerning the road fund after the consensus forecasting group reduced revenue projections. And Keeneland is hoping to have a 5-day summer meet. If approved by the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission, it would take place July 8th through July 12th, but there would be no spectators. Up next on Hey Kentucky, we talk to a member of the House Democratic Caucus leadership, Representative Angie Hatton. Stay with us.